What is up, Stout Out Army? Welcome back. On today's show, we'll be covering UFC Fight Night 282, coming at you from Abu Dhabi this Saturday, July 25th. So if you're an East Coaster like me, set your clocks early. Prelims start at 6 a.m. Anyway, shout out to Bogdan Guskov for stepping up on short notice. Obviously, Khalil Rountree went down with an injury, but hey, shit happens, right? Before we get into that, we're going to be breaking every single fight down all the way from the prelims to the main card, so stick with us for that. If you guys missed out on last week, we didn't do the greatest, we didn't do the worst. We went 6-6, but you know we can only get better from here, right? So we're here for the war, not the battle. Anyway, guys, it really helps out the channel if you like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. If you like what you're hearing, like what you're seeing, drop a comment below. Really helps us out. Also got some new merch. The link's in the description below. T-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and shorts. You know, they're pretty cheap, not too expensive. So again, if you like it, check it out. Really appreciate it. All right, let's get into it. All right, kicking things off with the first fight of the night, we have a fight in the bantamweight division. We have Cody Gibson taking on Abdul Hussein. Gibson is your plus 375 underdog, while Abdul Hussein is your minus 500 favorite. All right, Cody Gibson, he's 4-7 in the UFC. This is his third stint, I believe, and he's riding a 2-fight skid. His last loss was to Harichi Long that had been back in October 2025. So, but let's get, for good news first. All right, what I like about him is his wrestling pedigree. For those who don't know, he's a two-time All-American for junior college. He brings legitimate takedown threats throughout his fights. Really good at chain wrestling, and he has the abilities to change levels after strikes pretty well as well. For jiu-jitsu purposes, he's a brown belt. He's got the ability to submit you. He submitted Brian Kelleher in 2024. He's not just looking to take you down, not looking to lay and pray. He does have some submission intent. Does have some intent when he gets on top of you, and he has some submission victories in his, in the win column as well. The big thing that he's known for is his pace, his pressure, and his volume. Right? He has built a very, very strong reputation into taking his opponents into deep water for 15 minutes. Okay. He's not looking for a highlight reel shot. He applies constant forward pressure and high output. Okay, we want a lot of volume, a lot of takedowns, and a lot of strikes. Okay, now he's not going to land the cleanest of shots, not going to be the hardest of shots, but he is going to, come early and often and try to take you down as much as possible. Biggest negative thing on him though is his recent finishes and his declining ability. Right, his last two losses, like I said, he was on a 2-fight losing streak. He's been finished in both of those losses. March 2025, he got submitted by Damon Blackshear. I think that was by Kimura. And, like I said, Harichi Long knocked him out in 21 seconds. So not the best streak in the world, but, hey, I think he's coming off on short notice anyway. Does not have the elite speed and athleticism as the top bantamweights, okay? Quicker, more athletic strikers, they can time his entries. They, counter him pretty well. Now, he's really forced to rely entirely on his takedowns, which is, again, people can game plan for it. They can see what's coming. He's in trouble, okay? Also, what I didn't like about him is his inconsistent striking defense. He tends to walk forward behind pressure rather than slippering and countering, okay? It really works against lower volume strikers, but, it becomes a liability against someone with legitimate one-punch power. All right, Abdul Hussein, on the other hand, this is his UFC debut. We're going to see this trend a lot in this card. A lot of guys making their debuts this weekend. Hussein, he's never been TKO'd or KO'd. He's riding an 8-fight win streak, and he carries legit one-punch KO power, okay? This is his most single dangerous ability, okay? It's his ability to end a fight with one shot, okay? Finished Tyson Nam, UFC vet. It was a, prime example. He perfectly timed right hand and lights out for Tyson Nam. Good night, Irene, all right? He's got some legitimate submission grappling as well. 9 out of his 15 wins have come by submission. So two-way finishing ability really makes him a hard game plan. Opponents can't simply try to avoid his striking and take him to the ground. Again, he's got good submission offense, okay? Good finishing IQ, 93% finish rate that comes across 15 fights. Really reflects a fighter who's consistently pressing for stoppages and just, settling for wins via decision, okay? He does not like the fights to go to the judges, which we like as a fan personally. The biggest thing I see as far as the disadvantage is his size and reach. He's only 5'5" with a 65 inch reach. He's generally undersized for bantamweights. especially Cody Gibson. He gives up 5 inches and I think 6 inches of reach as well. All right. Structurally, that's a pretty big disadvantage. He's going to have to close the distance, pretty quick to get in and trying to get especially trying to, snag a one punch KO. And then listen, this is not news to anybody, but all his recent competition, they're not UFC level guys, right? He's unproven against, that type of competition. Gibson, on the other hand, even though he has a losing record in the UFC, still has had, racked up some wins. Guys, obviously I'm going to go with Abdul Hussein here. I'm going to say it's going to get over in the first round, TKO. Cody Gibson, again, not the best, not the worst, but this kind of seems like a sacrificial lamb for, to get Abdul Hussein in there. So Abdul Hussein, TKO, round 1. All right, next up, boys, in the lightweight division, we got Nurullo Aliev taking on Mike Davis. Aliev is your minus 218 favorite, while Mike Davis is your plus 180 dog. I know a lot of people are picking Davis for this one. They're really liking the underdog here. But Aliev, he's 3-0 in the UFC. He's coming off of a solid unanimous decision win against Shamrock that happened in November. Even though Shamrock's no longer with the UFC, they parted ways a little bit ago. Either he got cut or he left on his own. Pretty sure he got cut, but it is what it is. The defining trait for Aliev, as everybody knows, going into this fight, especially Mike Davis, is his suffocating championship caliber wrestling. He is going to look to take you down as much as humanly possible, okay? That is not a secret, okay? Again, he's what? Again, his last fight against Shamrock, I think he did, he's averaging 3 takedowns per 15 minutes, okay, with 44% accuracy. Mike Davis does not have the greatest takedown defense in the whole entire world, okay? At first he does not succeed. He will try and try again, okay? But to Aliev's credit, he does have some underrated volume striking, okay? When he fought Selecki, he was landing, 2.5 significant strikes per minute at a 51% accuracy clip. So while he might not have the highlight KOs or TKOs or really one-punch power, he does set up his takedowns pretty well in the fact that he's going to light you up if you don't know what you're doing, Davis is a pressure fighter, so I don't see that happening. Plus, he's really, his background is boxing, so, obviously different than MMA. But, Davis isn't going to just stand there and get in a firefight with you. The big knock on Aliev, though, is basically, his inconsistency in terms of, he's had a significant layoff, okay? After his debut in 2023, he had a monster leg injury and was out for almost 2 years, okay? And then since he's been back, he's only fought twice in a year and a half, okay? I mean, but Mike Davis has had that same issue too. But again, Aliev is dying to get in there. He needs to get in the cage as much as humanly possible. And the reason I say that is ever since he's been in the UFC, I know he's 3-0, but he doesn't have any finishes. It's the same kind of pattern. It's let's get you down, let's lay and pray, do some ground and pound, and then just use that suffocating control to keep you there. I mean, I know that obviously the answer is, guys, just work better on your wrestling. Let's, it is what it is. But if Aliev does not have a plan B in terms of he can't get you to the ground, he's in some serious trouble, okay? And his chin's pretty much largely untested against pressure strikers, okay? We've yet to see Aliev get rocked. We've yet to see him go against a guy who's really going to stay in your face, pepper you with the jab, keep you at a distance with teeps. You've not seen that level of competition yet for Aliev, so that's going to be tested on Saturday, I feel like. Davis, he's 5-2 in the UFC. He's coming off a very solid TKO win against Mitch Ramirez that happened last year in July. For those who don't know, Mike Davis has got a very, very good, genuine boxing pedigree. He trained under Cus D'Amato. He was a pro boxer before he was in MMA, undefeated pro boxer at that. So he's really got a really good footwork, really good combinations, really good finish over Thomas Gifford, put his lights out convincingly, smoked Mitch Ramirez with knees and punches. Really good, legitimate one-punch KO power if he gets the green light. So that's one of his defining traits. Also, good finishing versatility beyond boxing. He does have some submission wins, especially I think against Natan Levy in 2024. He got a pretty good submission win. His grappling is functional on the ground, but it's not elite by any means. He knows what he's doing on the ground, but he's not looking to get you there. That's my opinion. Okay, above average size and reach for lightweight. He's around 6 foot. I think Aliev's 5'10", so it's not the most overwhelming reach advantage in this fight, but enough to keep you at the end of your jabs, especially if Aliev is only looking for takedowns. Okay. First fight against his UFC debut was against Gilbert Burns. Had some submission vulnerability there. Lost via rear naked choke. But, Mike Davis is not the same fighter as he was in that fight going into this one, okay? Obviously, his ground game has improved. I don't know if it's improved significantly, but he's not the same guy, okay? Plus, Gilbert Burns is a monster at welterweight, okay? Especially early Gilbert Burns. Not the one who was getting clipped every other fight toward the end of his career, but early Gilbert Burns was a motherfucker, okay? Especially on the ground, okay? Gilbert Burns is a legit BJJ black belt, okay? Like, saying that he lost to Gilbert Burns via submission, it's nothing to, write off, okay? And much like Aliev, again, his significant, it's inactivity. Mike Davis, he's supposed to fight Drew Dober in 2024. He tore his bicep. Some of his opponents have pulled out. So, like I said, he hasn't fought in a year. So he's dying to get in there. I'm really, really pumped to see this fight. Unfortunately for Mike Davis, he's had to take a long flight to Abu Dhabi. It is what it is. And then the last thing, knock on Mike Davis is, it's uneven takedown defense, okay? He kind of, when the pressure's on for getting taken down, he kind of subsides and gets taken down. It doesn't really sprawl that well, but has really hard time getting to his feet. So I'm going to go with Aliev on this one. I'm going to say Aliev is going to go. It's going to go the distance, full 15 minutes. So I'm going to say Aliev by decision. All right, next up, boys, in the light heavyweight division, we have Brendson Ribeiro taking on Magomed Tuchalov. Ribeiro is your plus 550 underdog, while Tuchalov is your minus 800 favorite. Boys, the UFC is doing Ribeiro no favors by feeding him Tuchalov, okay? Ribeiro is 2-5 in the UFC. He's coming off a submission loss to Abdul Ankalaev that happened in April. He's riding a 3-fight losing streak, so it's not looking pretty for your boy, okay? Good news first, though. Finish first, opportunistic instincts. And by that, I mean he's finishing the fights in multiple ways if he can, right? He's got good submission wins. He's got good TKO wins. If you look at his regional record prior to the UFC, it's just littered with, it kind of goes in between of KOs and sub wins, okay? If he can hurt you, he definitely will, okay? Pretty good size for him, too. He's got an 81-inch reach. He's 6'3", pretty, not the biggest guy for 205 pounds, but again, he can keep you on the outside with teeps and solid reach and jabs. Okay, but the bad news is the follows. Okay, his chin and durability, that is kind of going. That's my biggest concern. Okay, first round loss to Zhang Min Yang. Okay, that happened in under 2 minutes. If he goes against heavy hitters and he gets touched, he's going lights out. Okay, his chin is a real issue. Okay. Omar Sy got a submission win over him too. Used wrestling to grind him down. Again, those are just two clear examples of how not to lose. This is not looking good for Ribeiro. Okay. On the other hand, Tuchalev, like I said, he's making his UFC debut. He's undefeated. He's got some diverse and legitimate finishing methods as well. He hasn't won all of his fights the same way, right? He's finished opponents with flying knees, with elbows, with straight knockout punches, okay, and rear naked chokes, okay? So he can do it from all over the board, whether it's standing or going to the ground. He can finish either way, okay? Very elite Sambo background, 2019 World MMA Championship. That's, amateur style, but formal grappling in Sambo, especially over in Russia. He definitely knows how to take you down. Sambo, pretty much, again, get you to the fence, do those hip throws, really good control, really good grip strength, okay? Obviously, big thing over there in Russia and Dagestan, okay? He was a UAE light heavyweight champion, so he's got some regional validation there. He just didn't go over there, had a couple wins. Okay, he was the man in UAE for a minute. He has yet to go. He's yet to have a fight go to the decision, so his cardio is still a little bit of a question. But that also stands out that if he can, he's putting your lights out sooner rather than later. Okay, this, like I said, UFC debut, has not had that experience in terms of caliber of competition. Again, Ribeiro, even though he's 2-5, he has been in the UFC for 7 fights, even though he's lost the majority of them. So again, not the biggest test in the world, but again, it's going to be one of the better fighters that he's fought. So I'm going to take Magomed Tuchalov in this one. I'm saying round 1 finish, TKO. Ribeiro, I think his chin is gone. I think he's going to get cut after this fight if he loses, but I'm saying round 1 TKO, Tuchalov all day. All right, boys, next up in the lightweight division, we have Ismael Bonfim taking on Axel Sola. Bonfim is your plus 164 dog, while Sola is your minus 198 favorite. All right, Ismael Bonfim. All right, let's get right into it. He's 2-3 into the UFC. He lost to his last loss was a TKO loss to Chris Padilla that happened in November of 2025, and he's riding a 2-fight skid. All right. He does have some dynamic knockout power. He had a solid highlight reel KO against Terrence McKinney. He had that flying knee that just destroyed McKinney. Roughly 40% of his wins have come by TKO, so he's got some credible power. He can definitely, if he finds your chin, he's going to turn your lights out. It's not the strongest, not what he's known for, specifically. Wow, I can specifically, but he definitely has some chops in that aspect. Okay. He's got some deep veteran experience as well. He turned pro in 2011, and he's racked up, 26 professional fights since then. So there's not a lot of styles he hasn't seen. There's not a lot of game plans he hasn't really, planned for in that aspect. He's sitting pretty, but the big thing with him is he's super inconsistent, especially in the UFC, right? He wins one, loses one, wins one, loses one. He's really had a hard time at, getting, stringing wins together. Against Padilla last fight, he had that big weight management issue. He missed weight by 5 pounds. Definitely not a good look. Don't know what was going on there, but, we're shooting this on a Thursday. Going to put this out on a Thursday, so hopefully he makes weight tomorrow. Against Sadikov, he got his face fucked up. I think he's fractured his orbital bone, and just, it's a pretty legit injury, boys, but hopefully he comes back from it. He's, and it's not a factor going into this fight, okay? Axel Sola, on the other hand, he's 1-1 in the UFC. He just lost to Mason Jones in March 2026. He's never been finished. He's got some high-level wrestling, believe it or not, all right? Grappling defensively and offensively definitely stands out. Strong underhooks. He can escape bottom positions pretty well. Willingness to clinch chain wrestlings into takedowns pretty well. And he's, given the real control tools, he can take this fight to the ground and keep it there if he likes it too, okay? Priya, UFC, had some good regional success. He had 4 successful title defenses in the promotion before the UFC. Okay, so he's been tested in 5-round wars. This is not that, but he can take it into deep waters if he wants to. Again, immediate impact when he went into the UFC. He had a really, really good debut against Reese McKee, and then he had a razor-close decision to Mason Jones. That could have gone either way, but, it got fight of the night. So, he definitely belongs in the UFC. It's not a fluke by any means. The big things that I noticed is that his cardio definitely fades in the later rounds, okay? In the third rounds, especially against Mason Jones, he was getting reckless. Yeah, he's just throwing wild punches. Obviously, that's going to leave you open for counters, if not takedowns. Bonfim can definitely capitalize on those if he wants to. Again, the Mason Jones thing. Mason Jones is a good fighter. Okay, he's not bad. It's not like anything to blink at it or anything like that. Mason Jones can definitely handle his own. I like Axel Sola this one. I like Axel Sola to keep this fight on the ground and keep it standing for the remainder of the 3 rounds. I think he wins. Pretty significantly. So I'm going to say Axel Sola by decision. Fight goes the distance. All right, up next in the welterweight division, we have Santiago Ponzinibbio taking on Samuel Patterson. Ponzinibbio is your plus 320 dog, while Patterson is your minus 410 favorite. All right, Santiago Ponzinibbio, he's 12-8 in the UFC. He's coming off a pretty bad loss against D-Rod that happened back in May. He got knocked out. But what I do like about Ponzinibbio, though, he's got really good, solid kickboxing, guys. He can change the whole fight's trajectory with one solid, well-placed kick and or punch, okay? He's got 16-plus knockouts in his career. Really good footwork. Definitely does not back up. Definitely does not back out. Stays in the pocket pretty well. Good BJJ black belt to complement his striking game. So if he gets taken down, he's definitely not going to be a fish out of water. He, welcomes the ground game. He's got some submission wins to his credit. And then the biggest thing to me that stands out for Ponzinibbio is he can, his ability to finish late when he's written off. It's kind of, eye-opening. There have been several times where I thought Ponzinibbio is like, all right, dude, he's done. It's in the 3rd round. He's gotten his ass kicked for 2 rounds, and he comes back and he wins, man. So you can never write him off in a fight. The other big thing is, though, hey, listen, Father Time is undefeated. He is 39 years of age, okay? He's getting up there. He's getting closer to the end zone, and, it really is going to, his chin durability is one to be noticed, okay? If you look at it, his last, like I said, he's 2-3 in his last 5. So he lost to Kevin Holland via TKO. Loses a split decision to Sokolov. Comes back with a win against Carlston Harris, gets a TKO win. And then he gets another TKO loss to Daniel Rodriguez. Okay, so, again, he's not in for these firefight wars anymore. I think one play shot's going to turn this fight, off pretty instantly for Santiago Ponzinibbio. Patterson, he's 4-2 in the UFC. He's coming off a unanimous decision loss to Michael Venom Page. Pretty good size and weight, size and length for Patterson. He's 6'3", got a mid 70s to high 70 reach advantage. So he's employing these long punches and kicks to control range. He keeps opponents at distance where he's comfortable operating in. Really good teeps as well. Much like Ponzinibbio, though, too, he's a good black belt as well. So if he gets taken down to the ground, again, he can hold his own. He's got a rear naked choke submission over Lyonese. I forget when that happened, but along with his knockout power, he does have submission wins to his credit. Okay, real good regional record heading into the UFC, and actually prior to fighting Michael Venom Page, I think he had 4 first-round knockouts. So if he can find your chin, you're going lights out. The biggest thing with him is his UFC debut. He got knocked the fuck out pretty violently. Not the best debut you ever wanted to see in the world. He could be caught by a good counter strike, and it was documented, obviously. Against the Page fight was really odd. I think he only landed 12 significant strikes, and he just seemed like he was just passive. But I mean, again, you look at Michael Venom Page, he's got that karate style like a Stephen Thompson where he's in and out. He's not going to stand in the pocket for too long. He's going to land 2 strikes, 3 strikes, and then hop back out. So, I mean, 12 strikes is not good by any means. But, I mean, I get where, it looks worse than what it is, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And against durable veterans, Michael Venom Page is a guy that is, he's a high caliber vet, like Santa, not the same quality. He's definitely better than Ponzinibbio, but Ponzinibbio is a grizzled vet, man. He's seen it all. I'm liking Patterson to get this done. I'm saying he's going to get a TKO win in the second round. So I like Patterson, TKO, via round 2. Up next in the light heavyweight division, we have the number 10 ranked Justin Jacoby taking on Mohamed Saygid. Jacoby is your minus 180 favorite, while Saygid is your plus 145 underdog. All right, Jacoby's 10-6-1 going into this fight. Got a nice TKO win against Julius Walker that happened in February. What's not to like about Dustin Jacoby? He's a proven finisher against really, really solid UFC level competition. Okay, he's got wins over Cody East, Andrew Sanchez, Tim Williams, and he's faced some real dogs: King Mo Lawal, David Branch, John Salter. Those are all guys who are fucking legit. Okay. Victor Petrino, a well-regarded rising talent, got that win against him as well. Okay, really remarkable longevity and durability. As I said, Jacoby, he's 38 years old, but there's not a form of combat or martial arts that he hasn't taken a part in. He used to be a pro kickboxer and boxer. He has 52 professional bouts under his belt, guys. I mean, this guy has been in some wars. He's seen it all in terms of striking. It's pretty solid. Speaking of striking, it's elite. All right, there's no two ways about it. In his pro kickboxing, doesn't have the best record. He was 10-8, but again, he brings generally deep technical striking, stand-up skills. He's got that one-punch KO power. Again, Bruno Lopez, Victor Petrino, those are 2 clear examples of him just finding guys and starching them out. It's just if he finds your chin, you're going lights out. But all that comes at a price, right? 52 professional fights at age 30, by age 38, you've accumulated some damage. You've accumulated some durability, not some durability on your chin, right? He's been knocked out before. Again, Dominic Reyes knocked him out in 2024 pretty violently. I know that was almost 2 years ago, but still, he's been finished before. This fight camp has been weird for both of these guys. These guys supposed to have both different fighters going into this thing. I think Jacoby was supposed to fight Jimmy Crute. That didn't wind up happening. I forget Saygid, who his opponent was. But again, it's the preparation for these guys has both been weird. Saygid, on the other hand, I mean, this is not a walk in the park for Dustin Jacoby. I mean, Saygid is a dog. All right, he's undefeated, and if you've not seen tape of his regional wins, he's got some fight-ending kicks that. Wow, dude. I mean, that is his signature weapon. He's got head kicks, spinning strikes, and they have produce some violent finishers, okay, especially on Russia's regional scene. He holds a 17-second knockout, and it's not just volume kicking. I mean, we're talking precise, accurate, target-ending kicks. And they come out of nowhere, too, man. He snaps these leg kicks out super fast, like somebody does a jab. If you haven't seen, also another thing that kind of stood out to me too is he actually moved up to lightweight for a fight and won in that one too. So he was fighting a bigger dude, still came out on top victorious, pretty solid guy. Okay, he's fought one championship vets, he's fought UFC vets. So I mean, while he hasn't fought, it's not really deep caliber guys, but he's fought some guys that have been in the top level promotions before. Hasn't seen deep water yet in terms of like the third round wars, not back and forth firefights. So that kind of stood out to me too, as far as the, downside. One-dimensional in terms of striking. Like I said, he's really good fight-ending kicks, really good striking, but nobody's seemed to take him down yet. We haven't seen how he is on the ground. And again, he's debuting against the number 10 ranked guy in the UFC. So they're not doing him any favors. But this is probably going to be my underdog pick of the night. I'm liking Mohamed Sayyid on this one. I'm liking him by KO. I'm going to say it goes second round, early second round, late first TKO for Mohamed Sayyid. All right, guys, we've reached our feature prelim fight, and that comes in the heavyweight division. We have Valter Walker taking on Thomas Petersen. Valter Walker is ranked number 11 and is your minus 170 favorite, while Thomas Petersen is your plus 142 underdog. Boys, I've been going back and forth with this one. I'm trying to pick on who I'm going to like. But before we get into that, Walker, he's 4-1 in the UFC, coming off of a submission win against Louis Sutherland that happened in October. Riding a 4-fight win streak. All the wins have come by heel hook. He's never been finished before. I mean, it's pretty special how he's finishing these guys. I mean, literally, it's not only is he submitting these guys, but it's a rare submission, heel hook. He's getting you down, finding the legs and just instantly tapping out guys. I would say it'd be a fluke if it happened once or twice, but he's done it 4 times in a row, right? And not to mention, as far as like size goes, the dude is 6'6", and literally it's not like fat either. I mean, he's fucking pretty physically imposing guy. Okay, really good reach. Even though we don't see the striking as much, but again, he can keep guys at distance with his jab. Okay, genuine takedown to finish efficiency. He doesn't need extending grappling finishes. Several heel hooks have come quickly after the takedown. It's really good, solid chain wrestling to submission. Okay, it's kind of happens instantly. Okay, really good opportunistic transitions. Okay. The big thing with him is, though, he does have an his UFC debut ended in a loss, okay? Lucas Bresky was able to defend his takedowns pretty good, and just kind of, Walker did not have a plan B, okay? He kind of got touched up pretty significantly and just ate tons of shots that paused, but he ate tons of strikes and just did not look good. Definitely he's coming off of a solid injury. I think he fractured his fibula in his last bout, so he's kind of fighting that off, coming off of a pretty good sizable layoff. And lastly, it's no secret what he's going to try to do when he's coming into this fight, right? He's going to look for a heel hook. It's a pretty predictable game plan, obviously, but if that's his bread and butter, Thomas Petersen, you have to look out for that. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Petersen, on the other hand, he's 3-3 in the UFC. He's coming off unanimous decision win against Laramie Pat that happened in April. Petersen himself has never been submitted, which is a pretty big deal. He's got a pretty good wrestling pedigree. He's a 2-time Minnesota State wrestling champion, NJCAA champion as well for wrestling. So it's going to be pretty hard to take him to the ground. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but Petersen knows how to sprawl. He knows how to defend a takedown pretty well, okay? Even though he's only a blue belt in BJJ, but he's got a pretty well-rounded skill set. 7 of his 11 wins have come by knockout. So if he finds your chin, if Valter Walker is not able to get that takedown, he's got some serious problems. Petersen's faced a pretty broader range of fighters. Okay, he's faced grapplers, punchers, and other wrestlers. In the UFC, he's kind of adapted to each and every one. Unfortunately, he's won some along. He split his record 500. He's 3-3, but there's not a style that he hasn't seen. His durability in terms of his chin kind of, stands out to me as well. He's been finished by strikes twice. One was by Vitor Petrino, and the other one's by Shamil Gaziv. he does not have the best chin in the world, guys. His striking, while it's definitely not elite, he's more of a power puncher, one punch KO guy. But again, Valter Walker, we haven't seen that yet in terms of his strikes. So, I don't think he's changing it up for this fight because obviously he's on a 4-fight win streak, but we'll see. When pressing forward, Petersen definitely tends to get hit way more. His knockout loss to Petrino came specifically after both of these dudes were in a firefight, right? Especially in the third round. I'm liking Valter Walker on this one. I'm saying I don't think he's going to get it done via heel hook, but I'm going to say he's going to get it done via submission, probably in the second round. I think it's just jiu-jitsu is way too good for Petersen's. I think he can chain wrestle, get a takedown pretty good against the fence. But I'm saying Valter Walker submission second round. And we've made it to the main card. All right, first fight of the night is going to be in the welterweight division. And bear with me for these names, boys and girls. But okay, first up we got Saygid Izagakhmaev giving it a run. He's a plus 200 underdog, taking on Abubakar Bagayev, who's a minus 265. All right, Saygid, he's 0-1 in the UFC. He lost to Nicholas Dalby via split decision that happened in November 2025. Big thing for him, he's never been TKO'd or KO'd. He's got elite grappling and exceptional submission finishing rate. 59% of his wins come via submission, okay? He's got one of the most consistent, dominant grappling resumes for a UFC newcomer. Deep career longevity and varied experience. He's had a ton of regional experience, okay? And he's turned pro in 2013. Fought across numerous organizations, like I said. He's got a real mature foundation. And he's not just, even though he's just beginning his UFC tenure, I mean, he's 31. He's fought a pretty good amount of guys, right? Trains in a world-class training environment, okay? He's a Dagestani guy. He trained alongside Khabib, and now he's in San Jose at AKA, right? I mean, the guy's training, iron sharpens iron in that aspect. He's training along killers. He's only getting better. The big thing for him is, he came to the UFC at age 32? Age 31. So he's kind of getting a late start to this, to his run in the UFC. The Nicholas Dalby loss should be a big red flag to people, okay? I mean, Dalby's, nothing special. He's a pretty good fighter, but he's running the mill, and you lost a split decision to this supposed to be killer prospect. That's really saying something, okay? Also, really limited finishing resume on the feet. 3 of his 22 wins have only come by way of TKO or KO. Definitely not known for his stand-up game by any means, all right? It's simply functional. He's not really using it offensively. He's only using it to set up the takedowns. And his grappling entries, if they're predictable, that could be a real issue going into this fight. Bagayev, this is his UFC debut. I mean, this dude is a dog. He's never been submitted, and he's riding a 3-fight win streak. He's got elite grappling and a wrestling foundation, okay? His wrestling base, it's generally elite, right? And speaking of training partners and elite training environments, he is the training partner of Khamzat Chimaev. Chimaev has spoken glowingly about Bagayev, he's saying he's next up. This guy is pretty fucking good, okay? Disciplined scorecard friendly fighter. He knows how to win fights via decision. 79% of his wins come that way via decision. Knows how to win rounds systematically through positional dominance and, control rather than try to force a finish, okay? His big thing, though, it's like a lot of these guys, he's got that really extended layoff and limited activity, okay? He hasn't fought since February of 2025, and then in 2023, 2024, and like I said, 2025, he's fought once a year. I mean, he's not doing himself any favors, okay? It's a pretty significant gap, okay? And then he's making his UFC debut at 32. Okay, so while he's a pretty good prospect, again, he's still kind of coming in late in the game. Another one, if Izagakhmaev has got 3 wins via TKO, Bagayev's only got 5 wins via TKO. So again, this is, they're both going to be relying on wrestling pretty heavy. I'm going to say Bagayev's going to win this one. I think it's going to go the distance. So Bagayev comes out on top. Up next, we have Tyrell Fortune taking on Rizvan Kuniev in the heavyweight division. Kuniev is your minus 305 favorite, while Tyrell Fortune is your plus 245 dog. Kuniev, he's 1-1 in the UFC. He's coming off a pretty good unanimous decision win against Yalton Almeida. Rare combination of grappling and striking. For those who are not familiar, he's got that wushu and sambo background. competed a couple times, winning some European titles in both of those disciplines. So he can definitely strike with some people. We haven't seen it in the UFC yet, but he's got some good grip strength. And if the fight goes to the ground, he can handle his own as well. Not to mention, the dude is a fucking hoss. He's 6'4" with the 76-inch reach advantage. He has the size to compete with any heavyweight in the division. Okay, he's got some real range. He's got some real leverage advantages in both the striking and grappling exchanges. A statement win over elite competition. Almeida was a title contender at the time before he got cut in the UFC, also known for his grappling, getting you down to the ground. Kuniev held his own in that fight. Took Jolton Almeida down to the ground himself. It wasn't the most exciting fight. Both of these guys literally would try to get each other against the fence, land some strikes, and then try to, get you to the ground. Definitely not one for the fans, but again, Kuniev held his own. Kuniev, I wish, could have some more activity. He's had some long layoffs. I know he's expressed in interviews that, he wants to kind of be like Waldo Cortez Acosta. He wants to fight as many times as possible. Both fights of his in the UFC have gone the distance. His striking volume has definitely not been elite or standing out by any stretch of the imagination. If he wants to compete in this top level, he's got to get his strikes a little bit better. Tyrell Fortune, on the other hand, he's 1-0, coming off unanimous decision win against Marcin Tibera that happened in February. For those who are not, I've been high on Tyrell Fortune ever since he's been fighting in Bellator, guys. I mean, he was, recruited right out of college to come fight MMA, and he's got a pretty good overall record, but he's hitting the ground late as terms of UFC. Decorated amateur, wrestling amateur pedigree, state championships, Olympic level qualifier. He's the D2 wrestler of the year. I mean, the dude is legit when it comes to the ground, okay? I think he can avoid a takedown pretty good too. But layered with his wrestling base is he has got solid knockout power. His right hand is his signature weapon, okay? He has a 3-fight win streak in 2025 solely by finishing people in his right hand, with his right hand. And he's got good cardio for a big dude, man. He can go all 3 rounds, and still look fresh. Really uncommon, especially in the heavyweight division, okay? His notable opponent, his next, Kuniev brings a big question mark to the fight in terms of he's got longer reach. He's a little bit bigger than Fortune, so that's going to be kind of hard for Fortune if he's trying to get the takedown. And then again, Fortune has been known to get knocked out. I mean, he got knocked out by Tim Johnson. This was way earlier in his career, but it was by Tim Johnson, who's just your lumbering heavyweight. But Tim Johnson put a hurting on him and knocked him out. So he can be touched. He's definitely also, when he fought for a one championship, he did have a heel hook loss in that one as well. This is my underdog fight too. I like Tyrell Fortune on this one. I don't think Fortune's getting a lot of the respect that he deserves. He's definitely a proven heavyweight, just not in the UFC. So I'm looking at Tyrell Fortune to get this done. I think it goes the distance. So Tyrell Fortune for this one. All right, up next in the lightweight division, we have Damian Rizbecki taking on Magomed Ankalaev, a.k.a. John Pork. Rizbecki is your plus 240 underdog, while Ankalaev is your minus 298 favorite. All right, Rizbecki is making his UFC debut. He is an overwhelmingly finish-based first record guy. 9 out of 10 of his wins are coming by finish. Okay, that's a 90% finish rate, and they're coming not only by knockout, by submission as well. He is a genuinely two-way threat. Okay, if the fight hits the ground, he can finish you that way. If it's standing, why don't you mind your chin, because he's coming to end it. Okay. In terms of the regional scene, he was a former champion in that aspect. He's been in the spotlight before. He's had some title defenses in that scene. Done really, really well. But are the UFC talent, UFC caliber opponents? 100% not. They're all Polish, regional fight scenes and other European promotions that really don't hold a candle to the UFC, obviously, right? And he's kind of relatively young. So he's only 24 years old going into the UFC. So definitely does not have the fight, experience as much as John Pork. But again, his resume speaks for itself. John Pork, on the other hand, is undefeated, and he's making his UFC debut. He fought on the Contender Series, looked pretty good, got hurt a couple times, but still came out with the W, right? The biggest thing that's, if it didn't stick out to you, I'll say it now. He landed 15 significant strikes per minute at a 60% accuracy clip, okay? That is insane, okay? He is coming to knock you the fuck out, and he is going to put a pace on you that is going to, you need to either try to take the fight to the ground. And speaking of taking the fight to the ground, that is like the outlier for, his training camp. He trains with all these like elite level guys, Umar Nurmagomedov, Khabib Nurmagomedov, okay, Islam Makhachev. They're all trying to take the fight to the ground. They're all wrestling based. John Pork is not. He wants to keep this fight standing as long as possible. He wants to stand in the pocket. He wants to fight it out. He's looking to fight the end, take the fight to the feet, right? And he's got a real finishing power combined with, like that stylistic, the wrestling thing growth. His first 5 career wins are all by first round stoppages, okay? And he has some decision wins. Yeah, they have gone the distance, but he's proved his conditioning looked pretty good. He can go all 3 rounds. The big thing, again, is we have not seen him tested that much on the ground. I don't think this fight's going to go that way in terms, Damian Rizbecki is going to welcome a firefight. I'm going to say John Pork gets it done. I think this is going to actually go the distance. I think John Pork is going to transition a little bit more to the ground game this fight. But I'm going to say John Pork by decision. John Pork by decision. All right, we've reached our co-main event. In the flyweight division, we have number 13 ranked Steve Erceg taking on Ramazan Temirov. All right, Erceg, he's 3-3 in the UFC. He's coming off a nice unanimous decision win against Tim Elliott that happened in May, riding a 2-fight win streak. Steve Erceg, dude, I like Steve Erceg. I'm pretty high on him, man. He's got really, really slick, and he's got that like flowing movement of that combo of striking that is really impresses me with that. He blends clean, precise striking with slick BJJ grappling game. He's got good finishing credentials too. He's got 6 submission wins to his credit, along with 2 knockouts. Elite cardio and fight IQ. He uses his pressure and his cardio as tools to neutralize his opponents. Those are his 2 big strengths, right? It's really a valuable asset in that division. He possesses he can pick his shots pretty well. Not a really big power puncher, but he can nullify you with volume. Okay. And if you looked at, I know his record doesn't say a lot about him in terms of 3-3, but look at who he's fought, right? He's fought Brandon Moreno and Pantoja, right? Those are the best of the best, some of the best of the best in the flyweight division. His experience is second to none, especially against Temirov, okay? He's seen the best of the best, and he's outlasted them, okay? Or not outlasted them, but he's, tested himself against them. Big knock on him. He has been knocked out. Kai Kara France knocked him out in the first round, so he's got some chin issues. Kai Kara France, again, nobody's seen him in the last, 6 months, so we're nobody sure where he's at. He's got a below average reach for the division. I think he's like 68-inch reach advantage. So in terms of that, I think Steve Erceg might have reached the ceiling for the flyweight division in terms of that. He's fought the best of the best, and he's came up short each time. He's kind of the back half of the rankings. Maybe that best going to be a 10th ranked guy. Temirov, on the other hand, he's 2-0 in the UFC. He's coming off unanimous decision win against Charles Johnson. That happened in March of last year. He's riding 11-fight win streak, boys and girls, okay? He's got a pretty good knockout power for the division, too. 11 of his 19 wins have come by knockout, and 10 of those wins, very first round, okay? In his UFC debut, he made it a statement win against CJ Vergara. He finished him in under 3 minutes. The dude's got some hands, dude. He's got some solid power finishing KO hands, okay? He's been tested, especially in deep waters. Charles Dodson definitely took him to the limit and back. So, he proved he can stand in there. He can, spend 15 minutes fighting. Didn't look like he was gassing out anytime soon. Big thing again, he's fighting a long layoff, man. He hasn't completed in well over a year. It's not an injury-based layoff. He tested for some positive supplements, some off the ban list. So it's not like he hasn't been training. So he's still been in the lab, probably, sharpening the knife. But again, a layoff is a layoff. Ring rust is a very real thing. Okay, he's only 5'4" too for the flyweight division, so he's pretty undersized. This is a pick'em fight by all, and I don't know if I say this, but Erceg's a -108, and I got Temirov as a -112. Boys, I'm leaning toward Temirov in this one. I'm going to say this one's going to and second round TKO. I just think Temirov's got the hands better than Urseg. I think he's got more power in his shots, and I think he's gonna end it via second round TKO. And we have reached the main event in the light heavyweight division. We have Magomed Ankalaev taking on Bogdan Guskov. Ankalaev is ranked number 2. He's a minus 550 favorite, while Bogdan Guskov is your number 9 ranked, and he's a plus 410 underdog. All right, boys. Ankalaev is making his return since October of 2025. He lost against the TKO loss against Alex Pereira. What's not to like about Ankalaev? He's got good hybrid skills. He comes from that Dagestani Sambo wrestling background. Good modern kickboxing, give him the ability to outstrike and, fall back to the grappling when it's needed. Good cardio, championship rounds durability. He's won against the best. He's beat Pereira before, okay? And he beat Pereira soundly, outstruck him, and he went the distance, okay? So he's definitely proven that he can be with the best, okay? A long track record of excellence. And by that I mean, he obviously he's had setbacks, but before that Pereira thing, he had almost 14 consecutive fights where he won, right? With one, of course, being a draw, but still, he's had a constant output of elite performance that is second to none, okay? He's coming off the most significant loss of his career. Obviously, like I said, that was against Pereira. He said in later interviews that obviously he was fighting off of an injury. I think he had some broken ribs. What else? Just really coming there not at 100%. Not that he was making excuses or anything, but again, he was not the Ankalaev as we've known in the past. Definitely coming in there a little older. He's 34. Father Time is undefeated, so he's getting a little older. And again, like we said, he's been in some wars before. That if and he wilted under the first round against Pereira. Injuries prone or not, he still lost in the first round. Bogdan Guskov, on the other hand, he's 4-1-1 in the UFC. He's coming off a draw against Jan Blachowicz. That happened in December. Perfect finishing rate. None of his 18 professional wins have ever needed the judges. I mean, dude, we're talking about 15 knockouts and 3 submissions. I mean, dude, the dude can finish a fight, and he's got some heavy hands, even if he's coming in 12 days' notice, well-rounded combat pedigree. He's a master of sport in both boxing, and MMA. And he's a K1 kickboxing silver medalist, so he can hold his own in the striking department. And he's, the physical tools definitely match his striking pedigree. He's 6'3" with a 76-inch reach pedigree. Again, but like I said, it's a compressed training camp. Is he going to have the cardio that he's going to need to win against Ankalaev? Okay. He has had some submission vulnerability losses. His grappling isn't the best. He's really more known for his stand-up than he is known for his grappling. And by far, he is facing the best opponent of his MMA career in Ankalaev, and he's doing it on 12 days' notice. So I do agree with Guskov. If he does get a win here, he definitely deserves a title shot without a doubt. But I'm liking Ankalaev on this one. I think he's going to get it done via I think it's going to go the distance. So I like Ankalaev for the win on this one. All right, boys. Appreciate you checking in. We'll see you on the next one.